Hello, my name is Elisha Weatherton. I am founder and CEO of Lovey's Pearls, and I am here today in honor of Women's History Month, speaking with Miss Shaundra. And Shaundra was a former teen mom, and she's going to share her story with us and her successes. And child, let me just tell y'all a little bit. So Shaundra Deneen is a three-time best-selling author, award-winning motivational speaker, podcast host, and founder of Ruby's Global Coaching and Consulting, LLC. Before any of her current success at the age of 15, she was a teen mom struggling to make sense of her new role. Of all her accomplishments, she is most proud of defying the odds and overcoming the challenges of being identified as the girl that had the baby in high school. She's most proud of raising an amazing young man that has defied the odds as well. So, Shaundra, tell us your story.
Hey, thank you for having me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Listening to you read that, even when you say that phrase, being identified as the girl that had the baby in high school, I get goosebumps still. But yeah, that's my story. My first son, I had him when I was 15 years old. I was in the 10th grade, and just a little backstory of that, or background on why that was, being 15 and pregnant. But being 15 pregnant to a pastor in a rural area, very small town thinking, just not what we do as a pastor's daughter, and 15 and pregnant. So mixed, and my mom worked for the high school, so she worked in the school system. So we were a very well-known family within the community. And so here I come, 15 and pregnant, and it was it shook my entire family. I had two younger brothers, my parents, me, my extended family. It really shook us all. It didn't just impact me, but it impacted my entire family. So we all had to figure out and adjust to the new person that entered our world. Yeah. So working to overcome that, I had a huge support system. Well, I won't say a huge support system. I had support, and depending on what day it was, determine how that went. But my mom pulled me out of school. That was before even homeschool was, as popular as it is now. It wasn't popular back then. So in the 10th grade, I stayed home, and she would bring my work assignments home at the end of every day. So in the evenings, when she would get home, she'd bring my work assignments. I'd do my work. She'd take it back to school the next morning. And I did that for most of my 10th grade year, because there was an element of embarrassment, an element of shame that went along with that. So the remedy to that was just tuck her away so that no one sees her, no one knows that she's pregnant. And, we'll deal with it when the baby gets here. I was 6 months pregnant when we found out that I was pregnant. I did not have the prenatal care that I should have, and girls will say, well, as long as I'm having my period, that means that I'm not pregnant. Well, I had a period through the whole time, that whole 6 months. So it was so many little parts of that just didn't make sense. It didn't add up. I didn't gain a whole lot of weight. Funny story, my mom was having dreams that someone in our family was pregnant, and she was approaching everyone else that had daughters. And one Sunday morning before going to church, she caught me coming sideways, caught me from the side.
Yes.
And she said, "You're the one that's pregnant." And literally, I had no thought that I could have been pregnant. It was on a Truth or Dare that it happened, a Truth or Dare game. I mean, the story just keeps unraveling.
Right.
There was a Truth or Dare game with a guy that was in town visiting. So that first time, that was my first time, got pregnant by someone that I barely knew.
Wow.
And so funny, it was the day that Oprah Winfrey had MC Hammer on. So I don't know if y'all remember that, back in August of 1991. I think it was 1991, because that's what I was focused on as he was,
Oh my goodness.
So it lasted all of 2 minutes? Get too graphic there, but it was over.
We won't say any names.
Right. We won't say any names, but leaving that situation, I was pregnant. And upon finding out I was pregnant, it was just through God's grace, and his awesomeness that I delivered a healthy baby boy.
Yes.
When finding out I was pregnant at 6 months, not having the prenatal care.
Mm-hmm.
We almost did a DNC because they did an ultrasound and couldn't find him. For the entirety of my pregnancy, he rested between my ribs and my lungs.
Wow.
So they could see the sac, but they could not see a baby, and they couldn't find a heartbeat. And so we were a procedure away from doing a DNC.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor said, let's do one more test. And they sent me to Houston to do an amniocentesis. And that's how they determined that there is a live baby in there somewhere. We got to find him.
Wow.
So after all of that, they told me, well, when you have him, he's going to have Downs. He'll be a Downs baby. There was Downs traits there in the different tests that they did. So it was so many pieces. If you can imagine being 15, again, a parent, parents were pastors, mom worked at the high school. Here's this girl in the 10th grade, is pregnant. And now we don't even know if she's going to deliver a healthy baby or not.
Wow.
So it was quite that 3-month period of time that we had between discovery and delivery was probably the most challenging time of my life, period. But as you read in my bio, it's one of the proudest moments that I had. I delivered a healthy baby boy. He was 7 pounds 8 ounces, 21 inches long. He was a big boy. On April 28, 1991, and it's something about babies that change the entire the family. They changed the family. It was like everyone went night and day. It was like he hit the earth, and all of everything that happened before that was forgotten, and we were now all focused on this cute little baby
blessing.
cute little baby that did not have Downs. That was just a normal kid, and I'm a healthy baby boy. So that is my greatest accomplishment to this date, regardless of whatever else I accomplish in life. That will always be number one at the top of my greatest accomplishments, was getting through that situation and delivering a healthy baby.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So we know where you are now and your accomplishments, and I've heard you speak, and you are definitely a great speaker, and I'm so honored to have you here with us. But so tell me, what is your son doing?
Oh, my son is in procurement. He is a procurement manager for a construction company now. He is married. He's 31 years old, married, has 2 beautiful kids of his own, Journey and Jax. And when in your intro, you said he defied the odds as well. Statistically, he should have been down a different trajectory as well, being, born to a teen mom, father that was not present, just all of the statistics that show the trajectory of a child born into those situations. And he was none of that. And he's just an amazing guy. I'm so proud of him. He's done he's an amazing father. And that's one thing that I admire about him, is his love for his family. And even before he got married and before he had kids, he would always tell me, I'm going to be an amazing daddy. I'm going to be an amazing daddy. And he is that, and loves his children. Oh my gosh, they are you can't tell him that they're not the best thing since peanut butter and jelly, honey. But I'm proud of him. I'm proud that neither one of us went down those roads that we could have, or that we should have, or that society said that we would have. And to that point, my parents played a huge role in that. One thing my mom told me, she said, one time it's a mistake. The second time you knew exactly what you were doing. So let's not do that again.
Exactly. And
that was really the thread of advice that she gave me, and it stuck with me even into my adult years, into to being married. I was like, I don't know if I want to be pregnant again, because my mama said the second time, you know exactly what you were doing.
Right.
No, but it has stuck with me all of these years. But my mom really made me work. She made me be as much of a parent as I could be. At 15, you don't know what it means to be a mom. You don't know. You just don't. Your mind can't even conceive that. But she instilled in me that I made a choice and that choice had a consequence, and I had to be responsible for the consequence, good or bad.
Yes.
So she told me, you have to work, so I worked to pay. This lady at our church kept him while I went to school, paid her $35 a week to watch my baby. I know, right? Right?
Where
that
is
was
she?
A long time ago. Miss Pat, rest her soul, rest her soul. But I was responsible for paying her $35 a week. I was responsible for making sure he had Pampers. I was responsible for as much that I could be responsible for off of my McDonald's check. Because that's where my mom took me. I turned 15. I was 15 when I had him, April 28th. I turned 16, May 26th, so the next month. And on the day that I turned 16, my mom took me to McDonald's. I thought we were going to get something to eat. And she said, okay, she dropped me off. The manager's name was Michael. I'll never forget it. She said, Michael, here she is. Put her to work.
Wow.
And I have worked every day of my life since that day.
Awesome.
But she instilled in me again that you made a decision. And sometimes we make decisions that end up with consequences that we weren't prepared for, that we had no idea would even go in that direction. And it doesn't give us permission to walk away from that because the consequence is not what we expected it to be. And that consequence to my decision really forced me to grow up fast. I mean, I tell people all the time, I've been grown a really long time. But it taught me so much in that work ethic and making wise decisions, and even watching the people that were around me, because I wouldn't have even been involved in the Truth or Dare game had I been with the people that I was supposed to be with on that day, So it just taught me a lot about myself. And I take those, I'm 48 years, almost 48 years old now, and I still carry those lessons with me that I learned when I was 15 years old as a teen mom.
Yes, yes. It's funny, you touched on a few of my follow-up questions already. So what do you think about Lovey's Pearls and the work that we're doing with the teen moms?
It is priceless. And I often look for organizations now that help teen moms, because when I was in that situation, there was no one. There was not an organization. There was not a person. There was no one that gave support. And again, it was in the early 1990, 91 when this was happening. And, it wasn't popular. It wasn't a cool thing. It wasn't as accepted as it can be sometimes today. So Lovey's Pearls, your organization it's a savior for a lot of girls and their families, because they're so in that, when you're in that moment or you're in that position, you're so focused on just freaking trying to figure out what's going on, not, with your body.
Yes.
You're trying to figure out what's going on. Your whole world changes.
Yes.
And it takes some time to wrap your mind around that. So while you're trying to figure that out, having a support system there, where if it's just someone that calls and checks on you, someone that tells you, hey, let's learn, for me, it was putting on a pamper. Let's learn what that is, or how to shop for your baby, or, how to care for your baby, what to look for with your baby after it's here. I'll never forget, Jacoby was 2. I think he was 2 because he was old enough to articulate this, but he didn't feel good one night, and he had a fever and was just crying. I had no idea what to do. And he looked at me dead in my eyes and he just bawled. And he said, call my mama. She'll know what to do. And I'm looking at him and I said, I am your mama. And we both started crying, but he was telling me to call my mom.
Yes.
Because she would know what
to do.
And so just having an organization that can walk you through those things and be that support for you, what you're doing, it is priceless. It is, Alicia, it is priceless. And so I am happy to be a part of your circle and your unit and your network there, to offer that support to teen moms. It's something that I wish I would have had for myself. It's something that I wish my family would have had, even my mom, just to have some support from someone that understands, because her circle of people, they didn't understand what it meant to have a daughter that's 15 and pregnant, so those same adjustments are similar adjustments that I was making, so were they. Yeah. So what you do is it's priceless. It really is.
Thank you. And what's crazy is in that time, in the early 90s, in the 80s, 70s, going back, the actual percentage of teens having babies was higher than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say that it's more acceptable now, but I think we, as a society, we're understanding it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And so for us, our goal is we're not awarding these young ladies for having these babies, but what we're saying is it happened, it was done, the baby is here. Now what do we do? We can't just drop you off somewhere and leave you and say, oh, figure it out. And so I think more organizations are popping up to assist teen moms, because I think we're just realizing, hey, teens are having babies, teens did have babies, teens are going to have babies, and if they're doing that, then let's support them after the baby is here. And so
it's important.
Yeah.
One thing too with your organization, and like I said, I've researched many organizations, because I aim to give back to organizations that do this, I say, the right way. And I say the right way because there's an element of shame and guilt that comes with the teen mom. And for her to be vulnerable enough to show up and say, I need help, or to get beyond that shame to say, hey, I'm pregnant, for her family to move beyond that shame and say, hey, we need help, that is huge. And so the organization has to be loving and accepting enough that they don't add to what is already a burden, or could be a perceived burden to the young lady, but that they operate in love, and that they operate with empathy, not sympathy. I don't need anybody to be sympathetic with me. I just need you to try to relate and understand where I am right now. So that empathy and that caring and that loving way that you show up for teen moms it's important as well. So there are a lot of organizations out there, but not all organizations do it the right way. So I do commend you and the work that you do there at Lovey's Pearls, that makes girls feel that this is not the end of the road. This is not where my life ends. This is just a pivot. Let's pivot and take care of the situation. And I have support there to do that. But you also instill in them that you can still reach your goals, through your scholarships. And, I had the opportunity to be a part of your scholarship breakfast last year.
Thank you. Yes.
And to hear the girls with their stories that they're going to college and the goals that they are hoping to pursue, and seeing them there with their baby saying, I'm going to nursing school, or I'm going to go to community college, for whatever their goals were, that alone, it really supports her and lets her know that it's possible. This is not the end all be all. This is not it. And for me, I didn't know what was going to happen. Literally, I didn't know what was going to happen after the baby got here. Do I go back to school and just become a normal high school person again? What is my life going to be like after this? And so again, having someone there, if I would have had someone there to say, hey, you can still go to college and be successful and be, whatever you desire to be. Although I got there, but the road was a lot harder than it would have been had I had support from someone outside of my home, I guess, to say that would have helped me with that. So that's priceless work that you're doing there.
And thank you for saying that. I do believe it is important, like you say, outside of that initial family circle, to have that support. So we want to support girls so that we have, more Shaundras down the line, right? But I also want to point out in honoring women's history and your achievements and success is that you still did it. And so we do know that it can be done.
Yes.
I think the key factor there is self-determination.
Absolutely.
So determined.
Absolutely. And determined, for me, the determination was, I just don't want to be what everyone says I'm going to be.
Exactly.
And I don't even know how I came to that, but I knew that.
Do you know yourself?
Because
that's you.
I just knew I do not want to be what everyone is telling me I'm
Yes.
going to be after this.
Right.
You know, the statistics were that you have another baby and that you're on government assistance and
Yes.
you never leave the, I mean,
You don't graduate high school. Wait, let's stay there with the statistics.
yeah.
So it's that you have another baby before you turn 20. You don't graduate high school. Your baby grows up to become a teen parent. You stay on government assistance. Yeah, those are the statistics that go with being a teen mom. And I tell the girls all the time, you don't have to continue on that road. You're a teen mom. Okay. And so this is the rest of my story. It doesn't have to be what they say. Yes.
It doesn't. And I just knew I didn't want what they said that I had to be. I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I didn't want that.
Right.
So the fight was to figure out what I could be other than what they were telling me I was gonna be. And that was my push to, keep my job, have a job, keep a job, to get a car, to be able to drive me and my baby around and not have to support, lean on my parents, because I also understood the burden that came with my decision, or what, with my baby. Because now here we are, my parents didn't buy a house for, 5 people plus one.
Right. They didn't. They just didn't.
They planned for their family. It was 3 of us and my mom and my dad. So now here comes a baby, and they're like, well, what do we do with him? And it changes everything. My bedroom, now a corner of it became the baby's room. I had a baby bed, and one corner of the room with a few things hanging on the wall. But I just knew I didn't want that to be the sum total of my life. So for any other teen mom that hears this or that's watching, what your child has not taken anything away from you and your goals. The goals you had before the baby got here, you still have those same goals. Now you're doing it for yourself and them. And I would tell my son all the time, oh, I get teary-eyed when I think about it. When he hit 15, I remember telling him, I need you to do good for me, because when I was your age, I wasn't doing too good. And that became our running line after he turned 15. And he would, he had several, he was just a good kid. And he would tell me, he said, Mama, I'm doing good for us. And that was our thing, even after I had another child and I got married and, moved on, it was always me and him. It was always us. And it's a bond that I can't even figure out how to explain. I tell people sometimes I'm his mom, sometimes I feel like I'm his sister, sometimes I feel like he's my daddy. I don't, sometimes I think he's my brother. He's just all of that wrapped up into one person. But it's a bond that he and I share, that only he and I share. And so know that too, wherever you go in life, you're going to carry a bond with your child that it's I can't even put it into words, just trying to think of how to explain it. But you find yourself doing for them. I want to do good for him.
Yes.
And even now, and he's 31, grown, has his own family, I still want to do good for him, because I'm still a teen mom. It didn't go away. I'm still a teen mom. So I still find myself working and pushing and striving so that my son can say, yep, my mom had me when she was 15, but this is how our life went, because she chose to push, and because she chose to, do things different and defy the odds. And so it's a journey, it's a fight, but it is so worth the journey, and it is so worth the fight. So be encouraged and know that you're stronger than you think you are. Your resiliency will carry you for the rest of your life. And if nothing else, you have a unique front seat in life that other girls don't. They don't. And it's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's just something that happened. It's not a bad thing.
It's an obstacle in the road that you were traveling on. And it's how you go about, getting around it, going over it or whatever. And you've made your life a little more difficult, but it's not over.
It's not over, and it's not impossible.
At
and with
all.
any journey that you hit an obstacle, it doesn't take away your destination of where you're trying to go.
Right.
You know, if we think about it in terms of traveling, your life is a journey that you're traveling. So if you're going to a destination and you come on a detour that takes you off of the road a little bit, you're still going to end up at your final destination.
Yes.
You just had to take a detour for whatever reason to get there. This is just a detour. You're still going to get to the destination that you desire to be at.
Absolutely.
So
and sometimes it makes you stronger. I mean, one of our girls who's getting our scholarship, she even said she didn't even think about going to college.
Yes.
Until she had her baby. And
yeah, absolutely.
Her family.
Absolutely. And it opens a new part of you that you didn't even know was there, I think.
Right.
And you have different goals and desires for different reasons. I pushed differently than some of my classmates did. You know, I was pushing because I really wanted to graduate from high school because somebody told me I wasn't going to, or that I couldn't.
Right.
Because I missed a whole 10th grade year, my whole 10th grade year of high school.
That's
you know,
okay.
how are you
getting that work to you?
Baby, listen, honey, she was serious about that work too. And she was not playing with me. Don't you come out here until you get this work done. My mom, I call her my OG for real. Like she does not play. But I graduated from high school on time with my classmates.
Amazing.
And the funny thing, and then I'll quit talking because I can talk about this forever, but our 20-year high school class reunion came up. And this goes back to shame and guilt and what you think people are saying about you, or what you think people are thinking about you. So I didn't go to any class reunion because I was the girl that had the baby in high school.
Right.
So I didn't want to show up at a class reunion and they remind me that I was the girl, you know, that had a baby in high school. So our 20-year class reunion came up and all of the stuff was flying and social media was popping in high. So everybody could find you at that point.
Right.
So I get this message with, 20-year class reunion, would you help be one of the organizers? And I thought, well, this is weird. I've never been to any other class reunion. Why do you want me to help organize this one? And so I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I did it. And I knew the games we were going to play at the class reunion. So one of them, there was an award for the person that had the oldest child. So I'm thinking in my mind, oh, this is going to be my award. Right. This is me, because did nobody else have a baby in our class but me. Get to the class reunion, the game comes up, and I was ready. And so when they asked the question, I was like, me? And I raised my hand. And they turned to me and they said, you had a baby? I was like, where did y'all think I was my whole 10th grade year? Like,
oh,
but no. So while I thought everyone was judging me or looking at me or, I didn't want to show up at a class reunion because I didn't want everybody to talk about me being the one that had the baby. No one even really remembered.
They didn't remember it. They didn't remember.
At our 20-year class reunion, nobody remember. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Right.
So I say that to say too, that a lot of times teen moms, we carry a lot of shame and guilt that we put on ourselves.
Right.
That other people are not even thinking about us in that way. So be okay. Forgive yourself.
Yes.
So that you can move out of that position of shame and guilt and focus on the goal that's ahead.
Right.
This is just a moment in time. It's in some an unfavorable moment, but babies are a blessing from God. We might not understand the good that comes out of it in the moment, but somewhere down the line, somewhere down the line, they're going to grow up and they're going to honor you as being their mom, and they're going to thank you that you had them because you could have done other things.
Right.
And so the good is coming. Just stick with it. The good is coming.
I like that. The good is coming.
The good is coming. Just stick with it. Just get over the toddler years and all the things, and just tell yourself that when you feel the shame, when you feel the guilt, when you feel the burden or the heaviness, remind yourself that the good is coming out of this. There is some good that's coming out of this. And you are just as wonderful and beautiful and awesome in your motherhood as you would have been out of it. You know what I mean? You're still that beautiful girl. You're still that beautiful woman. You're still that beautiful person. So don't feel that this is a scarlet letter or a mark against you. It's none of that, honey. You just get to blossom and bloom and be beautiful, for you and for your baby. So love your baby. Know that the good is going to come out of it. Your resilience and your strength will carry you further in life than you could ever imagine.
I love it. I love it. I love it. To any teen mom out there who watches this, if you do nothing else, watch the last 2 minutes of this.
Yeah.
Because these are some encouraging words from a woman who walked the journey and who knows. So I just want to say thank you again.
You're
We did not coordinate
welcome.
the pink, but look at us in our pink.
We did not coordinate this, and we didn't even think about it. I was just trying to smear on some lipstick so my face wouldn't be all one panel color. Here we are, same color. So great minds, great minds.
Thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
For participating in our Women's History Month acknowledgments. And
you're welcome. Keep up the good work.
Is it Jacoby?
Yes, Jacoby.
Good job, son. You made mama proud.
Yes, he does. He does every day.
Yeah. So thank you again. And I'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye. Da, 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 da.
Things don't always go according to plan, but believe me, I understand. Right here is where you take a chance. Empower your life. Empower your life. You were born to thrive. You were born to thrive. You don't have to face the world alone. When you need a safe space, you can't go wrong. Call in Loveysburg. Loveysburg. Call us when you need. Here at Loveysburg. Loveysburg. You're destined to succeed at Loveysburg. Loveysburg. Da 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 da. And Loveysburg.